good.
Alright. Hello, world. My name is Mr. G,
And I'm Mr. Z.
and we are two school psychologists, and we want to use our knowledge and experience in a fun and entertaining way. As a school psychologist, we do a lot of assessments, and one of those being personality assessments. When one of those personality assessments involves having someone draw a picture of a person and then you analyzing that picture, which is what we will be doing today. Today is our first episode of Under the Covers, where we will be looking at some album cover art and kind of dissecting it. Mr. Z, what do we have today?
So today we're going to be looking at Cannibal Corpse's Violence Unimagined, which was released earlier this year in 2021 on Metal Blade Records.
Alright. We'll switch to a picture of it right now for you to see. And we both took some time separately to kind of dissect this, and now we are going to share with you our thoughts. Mr. Z, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot to take in on this one. So, first thing I'm going to look at is the placement on this. So, to me, this suggests a tendency toward immediate satisfaction of motives, whatever those motives may or may not be. That could be up for further interpretation. I think the placement also suggests a need for support and perhaps some anxiety as well. The next thing I want to jump into is the omissions. So, when we're looking at the drawings, there may be things that are missing. So in this case, the omission suggests concern for everything below the neck, and perhaps denial of a potentially weaker body that contrasts with the aggression seen in the head, which I'll plan to talk about soon. But more specifically, these omissions can allude to feelings of guilt and difficulty in relationships. So more specifically, that's relating to the missing arms and fingers, which we do not see in this version of Violence Unimagined. Other features within this picture suggest psychosis or poor reality concept, and this is indicated by gross distortions of the mouth and tongue, which we can see very much in this image. It's very exaggerated, as well as I would consider this to be an irregular head, as well as bizarre details, which may also suggest some disorganization. Other features such as the wide eyes, I would consider these wide eyes a profile view of the head. And again, touching on the missing arms, that those features can also suggest introversion, evasiveness, and withdrawal tendencies. Again, I'm going to talk more about the mouth, which is very exaggerated. So that is consistent with, I would say, is an oral emphasis. It can also suggest speech problems, but to me it is also consistent with what can be expected when listening to this album, as the harsh death growls are on the forefront of Cannibal Corpse's music, with, in this case, it's Corpse Grinder on the mic. Lastly, this may be a surprise, but a theme of aggression is seen in this image. The large size of the drawing and the head. The mutilations, I would consider the way this mouth is drawn to be a mutilation, which may also indicate hostile responses. And the strong mouth and the revealed teeth, to me, also demonstrate aggression. Looking a little closer at it, this is a piece of art. Shading is common in art, but when we're looking at shading and drawing specifically, it tends to be common with emotional disturbance. So that's what I saw from this image. Mr. G, do you want to present your thoughts on this?
Sure. Yeah, you touched on a lot of similar things that kind of caught my eye. I also noticed, as we've learned in our program in drawings, when a placement, something in the drawing is placed more to the left, it can be suggestive of impulsivity. Which kind of, what did you more specifically say to that?
I said it's similar. I thought that suggested a tendency toward immediate satisfaction of motive, so that's kind of synonymous with impulsivity, I would say.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I kind of went from the top down. I didn't see anything really of note with the hair. Really, I thought it was like nice and neat.
Yeah.
I did, though, if we want to kind of do some armchair theorizing here, which is really what we're doing now. We see this image and the hair is nice and neat, but then the mouth, the eyes is just, it's lovely, but it's a little all over the place. And so, when you think of someone, what's the first thing you see, what you notice of a person when you first meet them?
Like their face?
Close. The correct answer is their hair.
Okay.
And so, going from this drawing, if a person had drawn this in the capacity to be used as an assessment piece, we might say, oh, their hair is nice and neat. They try to put on that, like, good appearance, but right under the surface, they are all over the place.
Yeah. It's kind of hand in hand with like what projective measures are all about, is kind of digging a little deeper, like in this case beyond the hair, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like that could be its own like little tagline or something, beyond the hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I then also noticed, there is somewhat of a big mouth. It could be someone who likes to talk or can't keep secrets. I also noted how it is just a head, there is no body. You touched on this too when I was saying it's grounded. So when something's grounded, it means that it's, as you can see from the drawing, it's going to the bottom of the page. So while there is no body, it is still grounded in the picture. But with the absence of their body and the large head could also suggest poor emotional control. It's important to note, as we are talking about all this, is this is for fun, and also in the proper setting, this would only be one piece of a much larger puzzle. Let's see, as far as the rest of my notes go, I did consider the eyes to be reinforced, which could be suggestive of anxiety. They're very full and red, they have really dark lines, kind of filling the whole eye. I didn't find anything worthwhile with the nose, but the mouth, anyone here will notice the mouth is a little different. But as far as looking through the lens of school psychology, it's a slashing mouth. So it could be suggestive of verbal aggression. However, I don't know. I would not say it's a strong mouth. To me, I see it and I feel like it's a scary mouth. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as a strong, sturdy mouth, which I might feel different if the zombie is nomming on my arm. I might, but looking at it through at the picture.
So you said you considered it a slashing mouth,
I do. I consider like
and what do you say that reveals? Like, what is the symbolism of that?
I feel like that. Well, through what we've learned is that can be suggestive of verbal aggression.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So I think our theme is similar, just how we view the mouth. Like I saw it as a strong mouth, which symbolizes aggression, and you saw it as a slashing mouth, which is more specifically verbal aggression. So, I think I guess I could see it both ways. I would still say it's a strong mouth. It looks like it's capable of some serious damage. So with those teeth and everything.
No argument there.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't really see anything with the neck. I felt like it's a neck. Like, in proportion to the head, it's not like it's long and stretched. So I can't really say anything there. As you were saying, knowing there's no body in this picture as we're treating it. And so I did make a note of that because the absence of arms could be considered feelings of guilt. Having no fingers would be having difficulties in relationships.
Right. Yeah, it's like it leaves a lot to the imagination. No pun intended with the title of the album. Thank you. But why is this figure? Why might this figure be guilty, or why might even the artist behind this figure be guilty or feel guilty? And what that just brings up more questions, which, as part of a full assessment, we would pursue if we were one-on-one with the artist behind this. But yeah, I mean, it just makes you wonder, how a figure like this would handle in interpersonal situations. So
yeah, I mean, it's as I don't think we can say it enough, is how this is one piece of a much larger battery of tests that would be conducted. You could have a high school student draw this, but there would also be other drawing samples. There would also be grading scales where you would have the family, the teacher, a personal interview with the student, and so you would look at all of these different items, and you would look for themes. So if you saw themes of verbal aggression, that supports it, but it also could just be a very creative child.
Right. Or in this case, a very creative artist. I mean,
yeah.
Which, I mean, this is certainly creative.
Yeah, I can say I have not seen something like this until you showed it to me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we're kind of maybe kicking a dead horse here, but this thing can't because it doesn't have feet. So it's lack of feet, so feeling stuck. And you mentioned the profile view.
Yeah.
Which I was noticing that too, kind of, to me it was playing into the social uneasiness.
Yeah, and introversion, and maybe again, going back to the omission of fingers, that interpersonal difficulty that was suggested by that. But yeah.
Yeah, and kind of playing into the anxiety bit. And then the last things I had noted was the sharp teeth, suggestive of anger and aggression.
Mm-hmm.
And you also touched on the shading,
right,
which kind of follows connections of towards emotional disturbance.
Right.
Which, that's not to say if you're shading, no.
Right.
Don't misconstrue.
For sure. Yeah, like I was thinking, shading is very common in a work of art, which is what this is. I mean, what, I think it's very common, and that doesn't necessarily mean every artist who includes shading in their art has emotional disturbance.
Yeah. And you know what? While we're here, I'll just get up on my soapbox and say that, emotional disturbance should be relabeled as, if anything, an emotional disability. Let me know what your thoughts are. Emotional disturbance is, what it really is it's an individual who has a challenge with kind of regulating their emotions. And, it's like all of us at some point in our lives are kind of like, it's hard if you're angry or sad and just like this like influx of emotions. And so it's challenging when a student is given that label, because there's that negative connotation of like disturbance. Oh, you're disturbed, and like it's not an accurate label in my opinion.
Right, and just to speak more to that, like in our settings, we work in schools, and so emotional disturbance is the educational classification terminology used to classify individuals who may have depression or anxiety or any of the things that Mr. G talked about, and having them, when those students have, whatever, the anxiety, depression, in a way that it interferes with their ability to succeed in school. So just taking a step back, like that just, it's more so how it's applied to what we do in our settings. So.
Well said, Mr. Z.
Thank you.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
I did want to bring attention to one more thing. The color of this. What did you think of that?
Well, I was recalling that in our education, it was brought to our attention that there had been may have been an informal study, but a study of interviewing, I want to say, was it serial killers?
That's how I recall it, was serial killers.
There was a number of serial killers who were interviewed, because, they finally caught them. They weren't killing anymore because they were caught. And, just for goofs and grins, they were like, hey, what's your favorite color? And if not all of them, the majority of them said, gosh darn it, chartreuse is my favorite color. And if you might be thinking to yourself, what's chartreuse? Just take a look at this album cover of the color of this album cover, the background color, this lovely shade of greenish yellow. That is considered chartreuse. And so that did cross my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, on brand.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, very much so. I mean, you just see, like, with the information we have right now, we're just looking at an album. I've listened to the album. I'm familiar with the lyrical content of this band, and Cannibal Corpse, it's called Violence Unimagined, just goes hand in hand with just that chartreuse factor alone. That I thought it was a nice touch that this album had the chartreuse as a dominant color of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like us talking about this album cover, it's allowed me to have a greater appreciation for the actual artwork, for what it's all about.
Nice. Awesome.
So I believe those are our final thoughts on Cannibal Corpse. Feel free to share your own thoughts. What did you notice that maybe we didn't touch on? What questions might you have about something that you are noticing? Let us know. And if you can think of an album cover that you would like us to talk about, drop it down below. We're happy to check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it.
Alright, that's all for now. We'll catch you next time. rock on.
Sweet.